Um, Today I want to show you something a little bit different, and if you've watched any of my other videos, basically what I do is I hack this information into cryptocurrency ledgers. Uh, so you can see words right there. Right? It's a song, and then um, here is the URL to the song. If the URL is short enough, it goes in there. If it's too long, you can just use a shortener. You can put all sorts of stuff in there. It's kind of interesting. But what's important also is that there are these words here, and it creates a natural um, sort of database index, right? But that's not necessarily what was intended, but that's what I figured out is possible. For example, if I include this YouTube here, then in these transactions, and these are tiny financial transactions. Um, this is a real address, and that's, I don't know, not very much money, maybe less than $3. And then these are, as you can see, as you can read them, they're not real addresses. It's just sort of something I do. And there's different um, um, videos here in this world of YouTube. And then I've also made other links for other things, like a site called Vocaroo that lets you record audio. So today I wanted to show you something different by exploring this site. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this one. It's a dandy. This is 4chan. I guess it has image clips or something on it, right? What's interesting about 4chan is it's got this stuff going here. It's got sort of a message board indexing system, right? Similar to what I used to call Usenet groups, which then became Yahoo groups, which, it's a, 4chan has these little groups like weapons, or there's a lot of adult pornographic stuff out here, right? There's a group called Pony. I don't know. So what I did was I copied all of these indexes, and I'm going to create a map within my system of all of these, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I've sort of got this in the oven ready to go to create something similar to this, but for 4chan, that you can then connect into that in all sorts of different ways. It's really sort of interesting. So I'm going to get this guy out of the way, and now I've converted all of those again by cutting and pasting. That's sort of how I roll. I've converted all of that stuff into this list that you see right here, right? And let's expand the screen out. So then this list, let's see, ran some various commands, and this shows you how easy it is to, if you have a server, you see I have a Digibyte server, how easy it is to do things, right? So you start with this create command, and I can show it to you right here. So what the create command will do is takes the input, which is right here, and it takes that big list that I've created of outputs and puts it together, and it creates this sort of gobbledygook, right? That's the piece that goes to the next part. Now that's not that interesting, but you can decode these things, right? So here is sort of the finished product decoded, and you can and I just create these little files. I kind of go from file to file. So let's see, rather than like for example, here's sign, right? So sign is the one that uh, will verify that I have the funds on this system. See, and it says complete true. There's one, let's see, let's start at the beginning with create and then fund, right? So here's the result of the funded command, and it will, it's all in JSON. So take that off and look at the end. So we've got we take all of this off, you can see funded a little bit better. See, so with funded, when I run the fund command, it tells me what the fee is going to be, right? This is the fee that I'm going to pay to the miner. So that all gets figured out. And you just kind of march through this until you get to, let's see. So, so the process is you create the transaction, which puts it into that JSON format, or this sort of format here. You fund it, you sign it, and it has to use the keys that it knows about on the server to sign it. And then once it's signed, then the next step is to send. So let's try that. We're going to send the transaction. And just make sure it's, yeah, so that should be a good format. And of course, you know, I use the API normally to do this, but for special things like this, this works great. And let's see if that did work. Okay, so right here is the transaction ID. So you just saw me in real time create this and then send it out, right? So let's take a look and see what we've got. Here again is the Digibyte ledger, and put the transaction in there. And see, so the fees, and again, so one Digibyte is about 10 cents. So the fee was nominal. And there you go. You've got all this stuff, right? It's an order and everything. So now, and so here is, again, here's the input side. I just grabbed all the inputs I had, put them into one side to pay for it. And you can, and I can verify any of these addresses. And then it created a bunch of dummy outputs. It should say, see at the end it says 4chan, right? I put that in. This is the normal data field. And it's a little bit bigger than that, but it's not this big, right? So I'm kind of cheating. I cheat, and that's the only way to really get anything done. So now, let's say that I'm a huge fan of 4chan, which I'm not. I don't really know anything about it. But I want to interact with the 4chan community, or some splinter community or even something unrelated. I can just come right here and I can say, well, I'm interested in sports. So you can just click right here on sports, and with your phone or whatever, you can interact with that QR code right there. So if I, you know, in that QR code, it's a dummy QR code, right? But I can pull up Digibyte, and I can say I want to scan the QR code. Come over there and scan it. My phone asks me what I want to use, so I'm going to say Digibyte, and so now that link D Sports is in my phone, and so while I created this on a server, this whole you know conglomeration of 4chan data, right? Now who knows, somebody else could come and scan this from their phone just like I did, and then I can send some tiny Digibyte transaction to that address. And when I do that, I'm creating a connection between, I just sent it, I'm creating a connection between myself and this, right? So somebody with a server, for example, could come through and see, oh, this guy's interested in sports, and they could send me a tiny little link in return. It might have a QR code on it, or have a URL, an op return code on it, similar to this one at the bottom. But you can't send those from your phone, but that's why I've created these services to allow you to do that sort of thing. So, and let's see if it's there yet. It'll come up at some point. It's still kind of percolating through the phone, but that's it. And it may be hard to understand exactly why this is important, but this is there is now this transaction out in Digibyte that I can use as a way to interact with the 4chan community, just like I could interact with Facebook, LinkedIn, any other, or even individual websites or individual people. All of these things can be brought together, but you have to make connections into what's existing today. So I'm going to go ahead and kill it at this point. I hope this was helpful.